Good deal. John, you're out of makeup. How are you, buddy?
Oh man, just another Monday night. You know how it goes after a big weekend.
Yeah, it's you want to. I feel like after every weekend, John, I feel like I have mono, and I want to just like crawl into a hole for 7 days, but then you just keep going. So
yes, the big nap is coming. It's another about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you take the big hibernation sleep.
Yeah. The big nap. Well said. Well said. Well, let's talk about the 2024 PPL season, John. What are some, maybe you're in Christie's big takeaways, some of your highlights? Just let's talk PPL pulling.
Yeah. I think it's the cream that always rises to the top. I mean, you go with Mastersons and Pro Stocks.
Mm-hmm. Did they really go out of bounds at Shides? Did Tinkertoy go out of bounds?
It did. Foles was driving. And right about
okay, shout out to Derek Foles.
250 when he kind of went to the sideline, it hooked and the pan dropped, and then the front end was in the air, and it was hitting everybody about the same spot, of course. And they were trying to chase that sideline where it's very valuable at Shides, so, and the Wagler Motorsport Park. So yeah, it went out of bounds, and then we go on from there. But they've had doesn't matter who drives that tractor, it goes well, very well.
It's propulling.tv, right? Is your website for the lives?
Yep.
Okay.
Propulling.tv. Yep.
Cool. And then your next event for that will be what, John? You're streaming next. Do you know off the top of your head?
It'd be Nashville, Illinois with Mr. Brad.
Mr. Brad. He's down at the Ozarks right now enjoying the big shootouts, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, he said something about racing boats or taking a little joyride on the boat, a little slow ride, I guess.
Yeah, his slow rides are about 120, John. So
yeah.
They do the boogie woogie.
Yeah, that's for sure. But and then you get, you take on the Pro Stocks, and then the mods, of course, the Simon family always have top-notch equipment every time they come to the track. So they've done very well. Super Farm was kind of a new guy to the Champions Tour circuit, Brad Woods, who never finished out of the top 5, if I'm not mistaken, all season long.
Thunderstruck, right, John?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. From like Tennessee or Kentucky. He's from the South,
yeah.
I think.
Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson. Okay.
Mid-South puller. So he's done very well. And he just always had a very lucky draw. Sometimes you got to be first when it counts, and you got to be last, and that's the way it goes. And then I think the Shad Diesel truck wrapped it up on the Superstock Diesel Series. So over the weekend, one of my other big takeaways is, I think Miles framed this on a post that he had, is, Van Hazley is the godfather or grandfather of diesel truck pulling, and his grandson Trip made a hot lap and then drove in competition, which was spectacular. Did a fantastic job driving. And then Kent and Debbie's son, Caleb, took it for a spin on Saturday night and did a heck of a job driving. It's always great to see the dads, because I was in that position as well, when dad's like giving you the last coaching statement, you need to come out at 4,000 RPM and ride the clutch and do something of that sort. And hearing that just constant coaching from guys like Kent and, of course, Van coaching up Tripp, his grandson, was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I'm going to put this on the screen and I'll read it to you. I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw that the other day. Which one is that you're showing?
This is Terre Haute.
Terre Haute, okay. Mm-hmm. That's last weekend.
No, this is back in July.
Back in July.
Okay, yep. So that's just the Wagler one then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because Shides used to be in Terre Haute, right, John? And then the cops ran him out of town, pretty much, all the kids.
So. Yeah, they didn't care for all the money that came into the town, the like $2.3 million that came to town. They kind of just pushed it out. So
they should have been like Bowling Green and just built a campground and put concertina wire around them, John, and just caged them all in. So
yeah, I mean, there was years Homeland Security was there for 3 or 4 years. I mean, on site.
That's awesome. Here's the post that John's talking about. So Miles, he words things amazingly. I've always referred to Van Hazley as the godfather of the diesel superstock class, but today he was a grandfather. The watchful eye of a grandfather beaming with pride as the next generation of puller straps in the beloved rock hard Ram. A final word and a bit of confidence for a young man born to do this. Pretty flawless attempt for Tripp as he made his way down the track for the first time. So pretty neat. That kind of gives you goosebumps a little bit, John. I'm not gonna lie. So
well, we got to face it. We're all getting older.
Yep.
and these young whippersnappers is the next the line of offense for everyone. So really neat to see. And then I think this weekend we're in Mexico, Missouri. The Western Series and the Champions Tour modified four drives are going to wrap up.
Hagendorns have the lead, right?
I think Hagedorn just has to hook to the sled, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't do any checks of that yet. That's usually a Tuesday or Wednesday project. But
sure,
I know when we were in McLeod, he said, I would like to get it to where I can just be comfortable at the last hook, and that's what everybody.
Terry's got a 24-point lead right now over the Renegade pickup. So.
And John, PPL's 50, 48, 46 down to 25, right?
Yeah. 13th place is 26. So, unless he goes out of bounds or for some reason, like the truck doesn't start or whatever, there would be some excitement, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I would say Simon's the mod. I'm trying to think just like the national storylines. Mastersons are such a big ticket right now, John. Anywhere they go, they draw amazing.
Jeff Hurt and his mini rod. It looks like he's got a pretty big points lead in that one. So that's a hand in a glove. Once he bought that, he's been there's been no looking back really. Once Jeff Hurt grabbed a mini rod.
But you're right, Jason. The Mastersons are top-notch family, top-notch competitors, and then as Mike said that Hurt is a hell of a driver. I think he could drive a go-kart to a top fuel dragster to whatever it is. He's going to get in it and make laps. I mean, I would challenge him up against probably Terry or Josh Blackburn of driving the most different vehicles on the circuit, because I think he drove Diekman's Allison once and he drove the Bargie's Jet once, and I think he's drove a two-wheeler a time or two if I'm not mistaken. So
No, that would be, I don't disagree with you one bit at all. Like you said, he took to a hand to a glove with the minis, and he's so supportive. He helps all of his competitors if anything's ever happened, and he's the first one to jump in. And like he always said, if I want to beat you, but I want to beat you on the track. I want you to get on the track and do the best you can with all that. So
I got to tell a little story real quick. Shelbyville, Kentucky, 2 Saturdays ago, Sean Ostrader was in the top 3 in our diesel truck class. And this is just the epitome of pulling, period. I don't care where you're at, where you're pulling at, but this is what pulling's about. He goes about 50 feet, turbo pops, of course. We've seen this many a times across a lot of divisions. Evan Davis and Adam Hallion and the Laux boys are like, hey, if we get him a turbo, can he come back and make another second shot at it? I'm like, well, he didn't go 100 feet, and there was 25 or 30 trucks. And so they go back, and they're like, hey, we're going to put another turbo on it. So they took off one of the Laux trucks, hot. They're back there thrashing. CW Cartmill's thrashing. I'm back there making sure the air flaps on, and it works and engages. And if he doesn't come back and make a winning lap as the last truck of the night.
That's awesome.
I mean,
that's awesome.
They said, I don't want to get beat behind the scenes. I want to get beat on the track. And sure enough, he was in the points. I think he was second or third. And then he ran into some mechanical problems here at Scheid, and he had to bump the sled in 2-wheel drive. But that's what pulling is. And Jeff Hurt's the same way, absolutely. And then, then his Super's been making some awesome laps. That thing is just dialed in. Him and Hodem have been battling it out. So looking forward to seeing what that happens at Route 42 Dragway in September.
So what points champions have you crowned? Have you crowned any yet, John, or is it still
to
be determined?
Yeah. Chris Wood and Class Act, Simon and Mud. 2-wheel drive was the old corn burner that was coming down. It was tied going into Saturday night of Hillsboro, and whoever won was going to be the winner. And Jason Sullivan got around Jared Nelson to wrap that one up. So. And then, like we said, Brad Woods got the Super Farm, knocking Josh Miley off. And
that's the first time in a while.
3 or 4 years.
I was gonna say at least 3. So,
and Light Supers was Martin Daniel, and you hate to talk about bad luck sometimes, but at Hillsboro when the Temptation tractor broke a differential and a planetary, and it went left fast. And I remember that happened at Wheatland 4 or 5 years ago, down to the points championship, and just they just bad luck all over that team, unfortunately. So, but Martin Daniel came out with the victory.
Rules changes over the winter. The was that right before Louisville, John, or was that before the Mack trailer deal where he had to put the big cage or whatever on the big Chargers? What was that? What do you call that?
The apple slicer?
Yeah, the apple slicer.
We're going to start calling it the pumpkin slicer here now since we're getting into the fall season. But
right. Oh, I like it. It's like a pumpkin latte. Way to go, John. I like that.
Yeah. Starbucks, make sure you hit me up for that one.
Right.
But yeah, that's been a big help. And then, having the bags over everything has saved a lot of stuff. We've been knocking on wood that everything's working there. So, and then, one thing that we didn't think about was we were in the 3.0 qualifying class and a 3.0 truck split the block in half.
A 3.0 did?
A 3.0 Kong, of course, the boys from Texas.
Oh,
and I mean, it destroyed the hood, destroyed the windshield. I mean, it broke both cables, but everything did its job. I mean, it didn't go on the ground or anything or on the track, but there was, I think, 6 push rods that could have been used that we picked up, reused.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've had
the Light Pro for Light Pro, the Light Pro component. I was announcing in Mendon, Illinois when I saw Ernie drive the Gopher for the first time. So I got to witness history, and I got to be on the mic. So that was kind of accidental.
He drove in Highland too. He
was up in Highland this past weekend with Badger State. I feel like that is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time for that class, John. I love it. I think there's more to come. So.
Well, I think it's just, again, we all have seen it. Parts are a little harder to get. Things are on backup still. There's still a wait list for things. But, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see another 2 or 3 Light Pros here in October that are components, just get the bugs worked out. It takes, it's easy to get the chassis and the sheet metal. The hard part is doing all that wiring and the paint and the little things is the stuff that kicks everybody's butt. That takes days, weeks, not just, it may be months for some guys. Yeah.
Good deal. What other questions do we have we're going to go through tonight? Let's talk about points, upcoming polls. So Mexico, somebody asked, are you going to be in Mexico? Dylan Dirks wants to know, will you be in Mexico this weekend, John?
Oh, there's probably a good chance I'll be there. Yes. Okay. Yep. We'll hit Mexico on Saturday night, and then we'll be to the track at the Holzhauer's Auto Mall, I believe is the correct Britannica Encyclopedia call for that joint. And do that.
I like to call it the home of the Pullers Championships, John, but I'm kind of partial.
Yes. Home of a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like there's cars, there's trucks, there's Sea-Doos, you name it. And we've got Pro Stocks and Mini Rods are going to be there. And I think the light limited super stock class, I know he's got some extra dollars in on that thing.
Yeah, here, John, I got an overlay because we're promoting that for him. Let's see here. Right here, we can talk about this one. I know he wanted me to touch on this tonight. So
yeah, the 5.0 Pro Shootout, and
so every class he's going to add $4,000 to it if 15 or more in the class.
Yep.
And then he's doing an extra $3,000 for the combined winner between the 2 nights of the 5.0 Pro Stock Shootout. So I know they had. I think he's got a good chance to get 15. I don't know if ITPA has a hook. I don't think they do, John, and I think he can pick off some of those guys. I know he wanted to get Couches up and some of those guys to come over as well or come up if you know what I mean. So
I think at Pickneyville, didn't they have like 12 15? Or 13? Did they have 15? I remember it was healthy double digits. Canes were there. Canes had sent a message to me about coming to Nashville. I'm sure Couches will come up if they're not in the cotton field already. And I'm sure Balsamas will be over, I would think.
Yep. And then you got Begeman.
Yep, that's not a far trip for him.
That weekend.
And I don't think NTPA region has any, so I think he can get some.
I would think Richard Warren ought to come out of Missouri over to that show since it's in Rodney's backyard.
Yep. Yeah, he had 15. He had 15 in Pinckneyville. You were right. And he picked up Parkers out of Ohio. Yep. So because they have 2.
Oh, and Lawyers were down, weren't they? Mark, was he over there?
I'm reading through the results right now. The one that Brad sent me on Friday, August 16th, because I would have been in BG. I'm trying to think.
Jacob O asks, is it $4,000 each night or is it combined?
It's combined, I think. Let me text those out real quick. Is the $4,000 for each night, or is it for the weekend for your poll in September? I don't know how fast he'll answer tonight or not, but we'll see.
Yeah. But I like what they're doing. That's a good way to boost numbers, and that's a good way to dangle something late in the year. Because late in the year, drivers might start saying, I'm out of points or whatever, and we'll punt, try again next year. This gives an extra incentive to keep people come out and keep things rocking and rolling.
Sure Fight, he's watching. He might know the answer to this. Brent, if you know the answer to that, please throw it in the comments. So.
And what's the other class we've got there? It's light limiteds, 5.0s.
Big pros, 5.0s, 4.1s. Probably have 85s, right?
I don't see how there cannot be a pull there and not have 85.
Yeah. Okay, Brent thinks it's combined. Here's the poster for the event here. Do you want to keep it on the screen, Kenzie?
5.0 Pro Stocks, 95 4.1s, 85s, Pro Stocks, and mini rods. Yeah, so all tractors, all 24/5 tires, and mini rods.
Yep.
Pro Stock family. You got the Pro Stock family and the noise.
Mini rods. Should be a hell of a mini rod show.
Oh, yeah.
John, I really feel like they're going to pick off. I know Kester's were talking about coming, and I think Chase was talking about coming, and some other minis like that, because they don't have anything going on, because it's just sandwich for Grand. There it is, yeah. So do Mastersons, does he kind of have it locked up for points, or is it a dog fight at all, John?
I think the fight is between Wagler, Justin Wagler, and River Rat is where the real pit jockeying is at. I know there's been some friendly conversations between Team Masterson and Justin. Who can score enough points to slide into second place.
Well,
I think it's just little friendly conversations, if you will.
No, I'm with you. And then mini rods, we said Jeff's probably got that locked up.
He needs to make 2 good laps there, and then I think going into the final event at Dragway 42, he would probably have it wrapped up. Yes.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the next weekend after that on the 14th.
14th. Yep.
Up there at Kyle's joint.
And then the 4.1s are going to be, that's Silver Series, right?
Yes.
And is that Adrian? Who's got the lead?
No, that should be Workman, I believe.
Sean? No, Sean's got 5.0.
Jared Wortman and the Goliath.
I thought you meant Sean Work. I'm sorry, guys.
Yep.
He's got a 5.0.
That's fairly close, though. 18 points, around 18 points unofficially, separating first and second in that class right now.
Well, 10 spots would be 20 points. Who's that?
Warman's in first right now.
Okay, you want to throw it up on the screen? Do a screen share. We'll throw that up there. I'll make it.
And we've got to remember. I've got to remember. This is on a 50-point scale. So what to my quick glance looks like a mega lead might not. Because at first I was like, oh, Jeff Hurt's up by 68 points, but with 3 events to go, that's 150 to play with right there. So we're not going on a 30 or a 28 scale. We're going on a 50-point scale. So
does that end in Nashville, John? The 4.1s?
I believe so. If she slides over to the right, you'll.
Okay.
I don't think they go to Cape Girardeau on the 13th.
I had her zoom in on it, so let's see.
Sure. Oh, we don't have the Lions put up yet. But yeah, it'll wrap up in Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Pruitt light limited supers are still running there, and that's a really good. I would think, John, with the Nashville geography, not too far from Kentucky, I would think we could pick up some light limiteds, don't you think, for Brad?
Well, that was the comment that was made while we were at the Shelbyville event. I had 3 or 4 guys ask, hey, do the rules match up for us? Yeah, man, come on over. They said, well, we'd like to come over there and dabble it up. They liked what he did on, where the purse is at. So, and yeah, geographically, it's, 3 or 4 hours for those guys, 3 or 4 hours from Missouri's guys. It'll be a real good mix up between the 2 groups, I think.
Banquet time. Where's your banquet at this year, John, for PPL?
Louisville somewhere. I don't know. That's not my department. I just know the 17th is one, and I think the 23rd is the Western Series at Boonville again. So
Okay.
I think we're
The
at
casino there?
Yeah, the casino, but where we were at last year is where we're at this year for the PPL banquet.
Okay. Eric Pruitt says several coming from the Mid-South group. Good. That'll be fun.
Yeah. I think they're all wrapped up down there pretty close to it, so it should jive well. So yeah. And then we've I just saw Leslie run around. She's been in the studio tonight doing shows for CBS. So we've had that. That'll kick off on whenever the Sunday, the September the 9th. I think we start with CBS on those folks, and we've been on MAP TV for the last 4 Sundays, I guess, and we're 13 into that. So Sundays at 6.
CBS, that'll be which events you're going to have on there? Always Hillsborough, right?
Shipshawana, they voiced Shipshawana tonight, or 2 of them. We're going to mix in some Goshen. I don't know what the other shows. They were just trying to, maybe a couple of the Henry stuff that doesn't get on MAV will go that direction. So we're mixing and matching on what we've got.
Hard chargers, maybe some newer, like you mentioned, Brad Woods and Super Farm. Anybody that maybe didn't win a points race, but again is going to finish in the top 5. That anybody jump out at you, John? There.
The Fritz boys, the Twisted Deer. This is their second year on the circuit, and I think they finished second in the points race.
Okay.
They were strong runners. Man, what I really want to see was Walsh's not tear up as many starters on their turbines, because I think they're onto something. But those are close.
Those are neat, John. Those are neat to see them run, because they add, in such a Hemi world, if you will, on the big mods, and it's fun to mix it up. That's one thing I really enjoy watching, like European pulling, all the different combinations, and that's just been fun to see. I think Bargie's, I feel like the last couple weeks had some good success with is it the old Judge, the new turbo, I forget what their new generation something, and
new generation. The Judge New Generation, but they picked up the win on not Derek. Galen rode it to the victory on Saturday night at Hillsborough. So you can always count on that. Like I told a couple people, is the turbines always get a couple of wins every year. You just got to, the stars align and they get up in there and they'll take the teddy bear home on occasion. So, and that was their night to do it.
When's the last time John Mears has driven something down the pulling track?
98, Galax, Virginia.
Wow. Your super stock, right?
I mean, other than like test dragging the sled, that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Well, cool. Did we hit everything tonight, John, you wanted to touch on?
Yep. I think we're good. We're just going to wrap up this season, hit Mexico, like we said. Mexico, Missouri. We're not going to Mexico.
Right. Yeah. I say everybody needs their passports, so.
Yeah. Do that, and then the track at Holzhauer's, and then Route 42, and then we see where we go from there. Got a couple shows, like I said, the national show will be on propulling.tv, and then we'll start wrapping up. I think there's some events down in North Carolina. We might go down and see our Carolina puller group, because they've got some extra stuff down there. In October, and we go from there. I think we only had like 285 or 288 events under the umbrella this year.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not. You need more, John. You need about 590. So you don't even know what day. You don't even know what day it is anymore. But let's be honest.
No. I'm telling you, I'm waiting for that big hibernation nap. Like here in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, where you don't have to.
No, when I called you this afternoon, you're like, I'm doing paperwork. That means it's Monday. And I said, well, I need you on about 9:45 tonight, your time zone. You're like, oh, I think I'll be wrapped up by then. And I'm like, holy shit. I hope so.
Yeah. So it's been fun. And then just this dang heat's going to kick everybody's butt this week. I'm afraid that 100-degree stuff. Yeah. I'm a little worried about that. Hopefully some breezes will come through for all the pulling this weekend, no matter where it's at. Nobody wants to sit out when it's 100 degrees.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, John Mears, Pro Pulling League, thank you, sir, for coming on tonight. And we'll see you down the road.
Yes, sir. Be safe. Rubber side down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Good luck the rest of the year.